Okay, this hearing's being recorded. It's 1 p.m. on September 22nd. My name is Laura Westmeyer. I'm Clatsop County Hearings Officer. We just have the one hearing today, which of course we're running virtually. Even though it's being run virtually, I'm going to go ahead and proceed as if we were all together for an in-person hearing in terms of the procedure, which I'll get into in a minute. The hearing today is on violation issued by Clatsop County, violation number 20-000091 against the responsible party Inga Stowe with personal representative of Angelia Stowe. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Hold on. Correct. Inga Stowe, S-T-O-U-G-H.
Stowe.
Stowe, yeah.
Stowe. Okay. Okay. And these violations alleged by the county concern the property at 93055 Scandinavian Road in Astoria. The violations that the county has alleged are 3 public nuisances, one for unpermitted development, another for solid waste accumulation, and another for auto wrecking yard. The proposed sentence that the county has recommended is $1,500. And with that, I'll get into sort of the procedure of the hearing. In terms of procedure, I'm going to go ahead and swear anyone in who may be testifying today after I talk about this procedure. The county has the burden of proof to prove by a preponderance of the evidence that the violations are more than likely occurred than not. So the county does have the burden of proof and will go first and present its testimony, evidence, and arguments, including any witnesses that it decides to call. The respondent, Ms. Stowe, you would be allowed to question any of the county's witnesses or people who testify on behalf of the county at that time. And then you will have an opportunity as the respondent to then present your evidence and arguments and anything that you wish to present. You're not required to testify, but I'm going to be making my decision based off of all of the evidence that I received today, any written and oral testimony. So take that into consideration. And if you do testify or have witnesses testify, the county will be able to ask questions and cross-examine any of your witnesses or ask questions of you as well. You'll have the final opportunity to present any arguments that you wish, and then the hearing will close and I'll issue a written decision. What I need to do today as I'm a neutral third-party hearings officer, and I did a conflict check before coming into this hearing. I have no conflicts concerning the facts or issues at this hearing. Does anyone wish to challenge my ability to conduct the hearing today? Okay. Hearing none, again, my role here is to take the facts that you're presenting to me, which I've seen in the case file provided by the county beforehand. I have the notice of violation in front of me, and I've seen all of the county code that's been cited in this matter. I'm going to take all the facts that you have in that case file and that you're presenting today and apply the law to them. So when you do speak, and if you do provide evidence and testimony, please address the applicable code standard, because that's what I'm going to be looking at in terms of the legal standard to apply to the facts that are being presented. Apart from that, I would say this may be, my decision will be written and it is appealable to the Board of County Commissioners, but it is a final decision of the county. So anything that you have to present on these matters should be presented today, or you may not have the opportunity to do that in the future. In addition to any evidence or arguments or defenses that you wish to provide on the violations alleged by the county, I'd also like to hear if you have anything to say about sentencing or the proposed sentencing if violations are found. And that goes for both parties. And with that, I'll go ahead and ask whoever thinks that they may possibly testify today to raise your right hand and answer to me if you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to provide today is the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
It is.
Okay. Thank you. County, you can go ahead and present your case.
All right, thank you for joining today. The first violation that we'd like to address today is the public nuisance unpermitted development, which consists of the addition between the two mobile home units on the property. In 2010, development activities involving that addition of a habitable room began. At that time, county staff, including the code compliance specialist and the building officials, contacted Mark Stow, who's the responsible party at that time, and advised him of the permit requirements. Subsequently, a reminder letter was issued in March 22nd, 2013. You can see that on document index number 3. That letter reminded the responsible party of the permit requirements for that development. And they also advised the responsible party that the violation would remain on the property until there was a determination of compliance. On March 18th in 2022, staff reviewed the current violation file, number 20-000091. And that review found that the unpermitted development violation was still ongoing. At that time, it was also determined that the property was subject to a probate, and that Angelia Stow had been named the personal representative for that estate. You can reference document index number 34 and number 40 for those. On March 29th, staff issued a notice of assessment as a result of that review, which included a new notice of infraction. That was issued to both Angus Stow and Angelia Stow, both as responsible parties. See index number 42. That included the unpermitted development as a code violation. On August 19th, staff visited the property, and that violation is still ongoing. Unpermitted developments with this is subject to a development permit. And in Clatsop County Code Chapter 8.04, Section 040, states that no property owner or occupant shall create a nuisance or allow a public nuisance to exist. Chapter 804 further defines what a public nuisance is, which is without limitation the violation of any county act or ordinance. This development, as I mentioned, is subject to a development permit, specifically in our law deck section 2.01, subsection 1. No person shall engage in or cause to occur a development for which a development permit has not been issued. And that's what has occurred here. Madam Hearings Officer, I'm not sure if you want me to present all 3 violations or if we want to do individual violations at each time.
Refer the county to make its a complete case concerning all the violations and then entertain questions by Ms. Stowe.
All right, thank you. Violation number 2 involves a public nuisance, solid waste accumulation. And I do have a correction to make to this. The notice of warning that was issued on December 27th, 2020, the date the violation began should be revised to August 30th, 2018. And we can reference index number 4, page 34, for the correct date there. On March 18th, 2018, a notice of warning was issued for the accumulation of solid waste and illegal burning. A site inspection was performed on March 2nd, 2020. The purpose of that was to meet with Angus Stow and review remediation plans that were established in February of that year. At that time, it was observed that some solid waste had been removed, but that a large amount remained. Later in that year, large amounts of solid waste were observed on the property during multiple site visits. You can reference document index number 17 through number 35. On February 8th, 2022, notice of infraction was issued for this public nuisance. That included the solid waste accumulation. Subsequent site visits after that did see progress with the abatement of solid waste. Dump tickets were provided at times for some removal. But on August 19th, staff visited the property and observed a drastic increased accumulation of solid waste throughout the property. You can reference document index number 52. Following that visit, a notice of violation was issued on August 19th, which included public nuisance accumulation of solid waste. As mentioned before, Clatsop County Code Chapter 8.04 prohibits an owner or an occupant to create or allow a public nuisance to exist. And a public nuisance is later defined through Chapter 8.04, Section 010, to include all protrusible and non-protrusible waste, including but not limited to garbage, rubbish, refuse, abandoned vehicles, or parts thereof. The third violation under review today is for public nuisance auto wrecking yard. Staff issued a, staff actually resolved this nuisance during an administrative review on March 18th of 2022. On August 10th, 2022, following that review, staff met Inga on the property and then observed several inoperable vehicles on the property. We revisited the property on August 19th, 2022, and observed an auto wrecking yard on the property. It was apparent the number of inoperable vehicles on the property was increasing. See document index number 52. Staff issued a notice of violation on August 19th, 2022 for the ongoing code violation. See document index number 53. The applicable code citations for auto wrecking yard, we can start with LAWDUC, section 1.03, where it defines an auto wrecking yard for any property where two or more motor vehicles not in running condition or the parts thereof are stored in the open and not being restored to operation. Because it's defined, it can be a permitted use subject to LAWDUC section 2.0100. This property is zoned RA1 and the permitted uses are listed in table 2 of our LAWDUC document. An auto wrecking yard is not included in that table as a permitted use in the RA1 zone. There are more than 2 motor vehicles not in running condition, as well as their auto parts that are being stored in the open. This constitutes a public nuisance according to Clatsop County Code Chapter 8.04 and is a public nuisance. Thank you.
Ms. Doe, do you have questions for Mr. Ledgerwood?
Let's see.
You
For
will
one,
have,
my husband died in January of 2020, and this happened right after my husband passed away. I'm sorry, I haven't even having a chance to even mourn for him because of all this. Everything that he's trying to get me on was all my husband's stuff. Yes, I did clear up that. You should see it looks great compared to.
Ms. Doe, let me stop
I
you
know.
right here. I just, right now you will absolutely have a time to present anything that you want to present and tell your story and your side of this. Right now is an opportunity to ask any questions.
Well,
Mr. Ledgerwood.
the room, trying to go with my little notes here that I have. My husband was the contractor that did the building that's between the two trailers. Back 15 years ago, when he built this room, he had the permit people out there. And that guy looked it over, and he even noticed by his blueprints and what he was doing that it was under specs to, so he didn't have to have a permit. He only made it big enough because I slipped on the deck and bruised one side of my body. That was the reason why he built that little room. But, and it's not even a room because it's opened up on both sides to cut out for the trailers so we can just walk through as a big home. But he didn't have a chance. My husband was taken from bladder cancer in 5 months. We didn't have a chance to do anything. This man, he did everything in his power for me to use up all my money, which was just $1,184 from Social Security. That's all the money I had. And I had to make sure that I spent every drop of it on the projects this man put on the list. I did everything on that list. My property looks beautiful. I did everything I was supposed to do. And every time I had people help me, I had Angelina yelling across the cul-de-sac to my people that were helping me, to a point where they left and never came back. So I had more work that I had to do on my own because I could not get people to help me. And this all started 1 month after he died. And, you know, I did everything I was asked to do, everything. The reason why my car was broke down. I couldn't even go to work. My car was broke down for almost 1.5 years because I had no money to do it, because I was putting all my money in cleaning his property up, all of it. And I'm sorry that I'm getting all choked up because I miss my husband. I need closure with him, not with all this. But I did it all anyway. I did what I was supposed to do. I've been paying the bills on this property for 20 years. I've been with her father. And all of a sudden he passes away and she wants the property from me. She's doing everything in her power to make sure that I get broke, that I lose everything I have, including my utilities. And I could go further on with that, but I will wait until it's that time for me to talk.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Stowe. So if I understand you
So-
correctly,
Yes.
you are saying that your husband built the addition that's being
Right.
referenced by the county and did not believe that permits were required.
Right.
Okay, Mr. Ledgerwood, did you have a response to that?
I would say in LAWDA section 2.0300, it lists, I believe, 11 exceptions to development permit requirements. And it's my opinion that the development that's on the property does not meet any of those exceptions listed.
Okay, Ms. Stowe, do you have any other questions for Mr. Ledgerwood? And
Yeah,
what-
why didn't he go find out if about the person that talked to my husband when I was at work about the building? I mean, I have the blueprints, I have everything, and I could, back that many years ago, the law, the whole idea, the things that you needed for permit are different than they were 10 years ago. So how am I supposed to know that? You know, I mean, my husband's the one that took care of all this. Every bit of it. He's the one that paid the bills. He's the one that did all the work on the property. He was a fixer. He fixed everything. And They didn't help me do anything. They didn't help me get a dumpster. They didn't help me. All he gave me was a list of things to do, which, I mean, a list of places I could ask for help, but nobody was helping me.
You're supposed to ask him. Why didn't he help you?
Why couldn't he help me in some ways? How, like, he told me that he might be able to take the tires away, you know, because they had this funding going on with their organization. So I held it. He told me when to hold it. Then he tells me, no, we're not doing that. So you have to get rid of them all now, which is all I could have had it done and over with if you wouldn't have done that. I tried everything to stay on this man's little to-do list that he gave me. Every time I finished one, he gave me 5 more things to do. My place looks immaculate, and you are more than welcome to come and see for yourself. Look at her property. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to tell you. It's just that I've been working my butt off for 2 years now, doing everything that the system's asked me to do with the little bit of money I had. I went hungry for nights because of that. I don't know what, I just can't believe that you're gonna take this, that my husband worked so hard to make sure I had it good. I don't know what else to say.
Ms.
I
Dwyer,
don't know why he couldn't help me with resources. He helps other people, but he never does. I'm talking to her.
No, these are supposed to be your questions for him.
okay, thank you,
So I
Ms.
don't know
Doe.
what to do.
You said your husband built the property in 2019?
He
Or, sorry.
died in January 20. He was diagnosed in July, right before his 60th birthday. And
I think if I can, Mr. Ledgerwood, what I'm hearing, the question for you is whether the standards were different at the time that the addition was built.
yeah,
My understanding is that our land and development use code was adopted in the early 1980s. While there's been some amendments, it's been pretty much the same since that at that time. And my understanding is that it would apply. The same requirements were in place in 2010 when the county identified the unpermitted development.
well, they should have let me know about that, shouldn't they? How come we never found out about, all of a sudden there's a permit thing here going on? I mean, you waited till the last minute, until after he died to find out about this information, when he's the one that did this? It doesn't make sense.
Mr. Ledgerwood, any response?
No response.
Huh.
Okay, Ms. Doe, so it is still the county's case that they're presenting. Do you have any further questions for Mr. Ledgerwood? Not just on the addition to the property, but the
I
solid
did
waste?
also ask him to give, that I request a 1983 civil packet and I haven't still not received it yet.
Okay, well, that's something that's sort of beyond this particular hearing, but do you have any
No.
other questions about the vehicle testimony or the?
Okay, I've been without my car that I just bought, which was a Suburban. Yeah, they're all taken off the property now, but the Suburban was the one which was mine, which was broke down, that nobody could seem to figure out what was wrong with it. It just wouldn't do it. Then it was my husband's white Ram, which was something he wanted to keep because that was a collector item. He had the white truck, which I sold. And I also sold the Suburban and got myself another car. Right now that's on the property is the car I'm driving, the Ram, and one more car that has to be, I'm gonna have towed off, and that's it. Everything else has been cleaned up all the way.
Mr. Ledgerwood, any response?
The Dodge Ram is an inoperable vehicle, expired tags, and not functioning. And I believe the white sedan is inoperable as well. The car that Inga drives is not included in the violation. It's an operable vehicle, currently licensed and running.
How about all the other vehicles you told me to get rid of, but they're gone? You're not gonna say anything about that? You knew I wanted to keep the Ram. Part of my husband. And I'm not ready to give up on him yet. Even though you're forcing me to try to do that.
Okay, thank you for that testimony. Ms. Stowe, did you have any questions for Mr. Ledgerwood about the solid waste violations that the county alleged?
Resources here.
I've been getting,
The question is, why didn't he help you with the resources?
why didn't he help me with the resources? I tried my best to get it there. I got people to help put all that stuff in their trucks and take it to the, what do they call it? I don't even know what, WOW, which is our disposal area. And I've been paying them, and then I had to stop by the middle of the month because all my money was gone. Everything I had to do to get off my property cost me money.
Yeah.
But he didn't help me one bit.
She's asking if there's any question. So it's why didn't he help you with resources?
Why didn't he help me with
why did he
resources?
make you spend all of your income?
Why did he make me spend all my income on just his
so that you
project
couldn't survive?
without threatening me $1,000 a day? Why couldn't he help me find out the people that can help me? Why couldn't he do any of that? Isn't that part of his job? Is to make sure that I have a way to work with with everything that I need to do.
And why did he harass people that were trying to help you?
And why was all the people on my property getting harassed when they were trying to help me? They wanted me to fail. They wanted me to fail.
He followed your friend. all the
He
way to the
followed
dump.
my friend with a load of trash all the way to the dump just to make sure they were going there.
When
They were he's basically calling my friends liars.
and there's no proof.
And there's no proof.
That you're gonna go dump it out in the woods. He's just accusing me of it.
Mr. Ledgerwood, do you have any response?
No response.
Okay, are there any further witnesses for the county?
I have no further witnesses.
Okay, Mr. Ledgerwood, would you confirm in terms of the what you were speaking to for a recommended sentence if violations are found? I'm seeing that that's $1,500 for all 3 violations. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I can expand on that. Staff recommends a $500 presumptive penalty for each violation. If the violations are corrected within 30 days of the hearings officer's decision, we would agree to a reduced penalty of 20% by 20% or $400 for each violation. We also recommend payment of the time and expenses associated with the enforcement efforts. If they're not corrected,
Wow.
staff recommends the fine imposed of $20,000 be imposed pursuant to Clatsop County Code Chapter 1.12, Section 130, which is the schedule of fines outlined in our code. We also recommend that no land use permits for this property be processed pursuant to Clatsop County Code 1.14, Section 130, subsection C. We also recommend that the sum of all penalties be recorded in the county clerk's office 60 days after the hearings officer's decision is issued. This is pursuant to Clatsop County Code Chapter 1.14, Section 130. This would affect any real property in Clatsop County owned by each of the responsible parties listed.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, anything further from the county?
No.
I have a question about what he just said about it affecting other properties as well. Although I'm personal representative, does that go against, and not like an actual owner on the property, does that go against my separate property?
Mr. Ledgerfield?
My understanding is that the probate document issued by the circuit court in Clatsop County, referencing case number 21 PB 06707, lists Angelia Stow as a personal representative for the property. She's been included on several enforcement action notices in 2022. It's the opinion of the county that it would impact all responsible parties' property, including Angelia Stow's.
Okay.
And how come you,
Ms. Stowe, the county has rested its case. Do you have anything further to add? This is now your time to present any evidence, witnesses, or arguments that you would like to present. Noting everything that you've already testified to.
I've written down stuff that I wanted to, for sure you to hear. Well, he started a month after my husband passed. Okay. His daughter called in to complain, knowing full well that that it was his projects. Her father never got, I can't even read my handwriting. I've been so brought over this. She's tried to extort me out of my own property. You know, and he I can't read.
Where's your glasses? Where's your
what did I
glasses?
say? I don't have my glasses. I
Want me to read it?
yeah, could you read it for me? This is my daughter. She's been with me the 3rd month that my husband was ill. She came to help so I can go to work and make some money, which I couldn't work very much because all I did was cry.
Okay, so the violation.
Okay,
was
so
over-
for the record, this is still Angus Stowe's testimony. It's being read
Yes,
by a
she's
third
just
party.
reading my paperwork for me.
Please go ahead.
Okay, so the complaint was made 1 month after her husband had passed away, and the complaint was called in by his daughter. Robert has been intimidating, causing mental distress, never offering help, demanding that she spends the small amount that she gets on her fixed income to deal with the garbage, and accusing her of going to take it up in the woods and drop it off there, even though there's no proof that would have ever happened. Before all this happened, she was actually a very well respected person in the community until her stepdaughter started spreading lies. She's a senior going through hardship. He did an abusive process violation of her 14th Amendment. He unlawfully entered the 5th wheel when we were not home. He took pictures and lied and said that the door was open. He discussed our business with the neighbors who have been out to get my mother. He's trying to find anything possible to take away what she needs to sustain life. He called the power company. We talked to the power company for 4 hours. They said that he had called and said that nobody lived on the property, and so they went out to do an investigation, and unfortunately showed up when we were not home, and all they saw was the pink papers that were stapled next to the door, which they believed him that nobody lived there on the property, so they turned off the power and took the meter. Let's see. Our next door neighbor has seen her stepdaughter get into the mailbox and stealing all her utility bills.
Things that I wasn't receiving.
Everybody that came over to help
My
was harassed.
form had to be
Was
done 3
harassed by this
times.
personal representative, making them leave and not come back. They because of that, it's kept her from doing yard sales to make up extra money to be able to get what she needs to be able to sustain life. So she has to spend everything that she has on her fixed income to remove this garbage. Let's see, he's harassed the help by calling them liars and following them to the dump, making them feel very, small. He said that that we had to have receipts, and so there was no like taking it to her dumpster, even though she had one outside of her house that was not allowed to him. He wanted her to spend her money. He called child welfare when her granddaughter had a chance to visit because Angelia told him to. But she has minors around a woman who recently let her son be molested by her boyfriend. That woman's mother also told us that Rob actually went to school with Angelia's roommate, which is the people that made the call in the first place. And that woman had to get a restraining order against her own daughter for abusing her and keeping her hostage. Let's see, the request of the 1983 civil packet from Rob that we have yet to receive. And we also requested to work with a different county worker. He says that there's no progress on the property, but the property actually looks magnificent compared to the garbage heap that Angelia has on her property. What it all comes down to is that Angelia is trying to take the property from my mother, thinking that she has rights to do that because she was the only child of my dad, and even though she was 21 when they got married, and they were married for 20 years, and my mom has put her last 20 years worth of money into the property. I mean, really, what it all comes down to is just a malicious act from a scorned daughter that wasn't there for her dad when he needed her the most.
Thank you. Thank you, Selena.
You're welcome.
Okay, that was the testimony of Ms. Inga Stowe. Mr. Ledgerwood, do you have any questions for Ms. Stowe?
No questions.
Ms. Stowe, anything further or any further witnesses?
I have the woman that she took the the garbage to the
That he
dump
followed to the dump.
that he followed. She's gonna talk with you right now. I'm sliding over.
Okay, and I do need to swear you in. If you will be testifying, please hold up your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to provide is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
And for the record, will you please state and spell your first name and your last name?
my name's Tia Howard. It's TIA and HOWARD.
Thank you, Ms. Howard. Go ahead.
So I've only really seen Rob on 2 occasions. The first time meeting him, he immediately questioned who I was. I had stepped outside to smoke a cigarette. I didn't think of anything of it because I'm just a general nice person. And when somebody asks me who I am, I tell them who I am. But I just found it odd about how he just wanted to come towards me and ask me, who are you? And just told him I was a friend visiting. And then this is in the beginning of me actually just meeting them when I was dealing through some hard times, and they were being family orientated to me to make me want to help them. So after seeing everything that they were going through, me and a friend, Emmett Brewer, had a vehicle, and I have an at-home business that I co-do with my boyfriend. He works construction. We will take trash for people in loads and take it with ours that we have or from other people's, and we'll do it in one load, usually with their work truck trailer that they have. They have a yeah, well, no, not a flatbed, a hydraulic trailer that will dump itself when you get to go to empty the trash out of it. And I explained this to him, that I had the this because he was demanding receipts. I of course keep a receipt book on me for any of my business transactions that I do for anyone, and had wrote them out for him so that he had them. And when I had wrote them, it was in the beginning of the year, just when 2022 had turned over, and I hadn't realized that I hadn't wrote the actual date down. My digitally, everything does it for me. And when I went to go write it down, I wrote 2021. And he corrected me by saying, this is for last year. And I said, well, this is for just this last 2 weeks. But I missed that it's not 2021 anymore, that it's 2022, and told him that I would correct it. I also told him I had more receipts because I've been doing this for them for well over a month, trying to help them take their trash. Because with no working vehicles, they had no way to take it themselves. He was demanding for receipts, so no one was willing or could feel like, without causing problems, taking it and disposing it of themselves with their own trash at home. So I came along with Emmett, and then he started questioning my friend Emmett that had a trailer hooked up to his vehicle so we could take some trash, and asked him why he was doing it. And we told him, well, we're doing this out of the kindness of our heart. And Emmett was actually homeless, living in his vehicle, and was willing to do stuff for cans and recycling. So as we're disposing the garbage, he's also sorting through it and taking out the recycling, and so that he can, use that for his fee for doing his work. And then something seemed fishy to Rob, to where he felt like he had to follow us to the dump and proceed to wait for us to unload everything, and then take a picture of the receipt to make sure that we were actually doing what I said that we were doing.
Thank you, Ms. Howard. Mr. Ledgerwood, do you have questions, or would you like to cross-examine Ms. Howard?
No questions at this time. Thanks.
I have a question. Have I ever spoke with you or harassed you or done anything to you?
Actually, Ms. Doe, you would need to be called as a witness by either the county or the respondent
Oh, okay.
in order to speak and ask questions.
I am one of the respondents, am I not? I'm listed on there as a respondent.
You are listed as a respondent. That is accurate. Yes. So I will give you an opportunity after we're finished with Ms. Doe.
Okay, well, the witness was up, so I just wanted to ask her if I'd ever, I live kitty corner, and if people aren't making noise in the middle of the night or any of that, like, I leave them alone. We call when it's 2 a.m. and they're out there working on vehicles, or it's a stolen vehicle, which 2 have been recovered from there. I don't harass her people or say anything to them unless they are doing something directly to me. So I just wanted the witness to make sure she was being honest there. And I've never talked to her other than when she worked at McDonald's. I've never had an issue with her.
Oh, am I supposed to answer?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, I have never had any altercation with you at all.
Thank you for being honest.
Yeah.
Ms. Angusto, do you have anything further or any further witnesses to call?
Well, if I knew that I had to bring witnesses to prove that she does yell across the cul-de-sac, then I would have done that. Because I have about 15 of them. So, but I'm not gonna go there. I don't care how much she dislikes me. I'll always love her family. And I have known them for 20 years. I've been their Nana forever. And I will always love those kids. I don't know what else to say about this whole thing. I just can't believe. I've heard stories about family going after family, but this is ridiculous. Because I've never done anything to hurt that woman.
You have one more witness.
I have one more witness. Let me slide over this way. She lived with me for a little bit to help me out.
Okay, would you please raise your right hand?
Yeah.
And do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth in the testimony you're about to provide?
I do.
Please state and spell your first name and your last name for the record.
So Vanessa Schoonover,
Would you spell that, please?
VANESSA SCHOONOVER.
SCHOLOVER.
SCHOONOVER.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Schoonover, please go ahead.
I just wanted to add the neighbors that were kitty corner would park in front of the driveway and block anyone from coming in or out. And, you know, that just seems wrong to say that they weren't giving her a hard time as well.
Yeah, making
I mean, no, they don't have a right to really park on her property and do that unless they ask. And it seemed like they would also stand outside and make comments on purpose, kind of condescending and loud. Yeah, that is all.
I'm sorry, Ms. Schoonover, who is they in your testimony?
The neighbors
Angela.
that were kitty corner.
Okay,
her name's Angelia Stowe.
thank you. Mr. Ledgerwood, do you have questions for Ms. Schoonover?
No questions.
I do have a question there. You are aware that the property that Inga lives on, that little trailer that you were living in there, is the property line, and nothing further out from there or the bushes are her property. So
Well,
parking in the cul-de-sac has nothing to do with her, and nobody is
That
ever.
gives me the right to
Blocking the
talk.
driveway.
Well, to block the driveway, I mean, it kind of prevents
And
her
nobody's
from
ever
anything.
blocked your driveway. You block other people's driveways.
No, that's not what you're saying.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stop here and just kind of reframe the procedurally what's happening here.
That's
So
fine.
my job again here as the neutral third party hearings officer is to apply the law to the facts I'm being presented. So my only role here is to decide whether the violations, the 3 violations that the county alleged against the property exist, whether there are facts that support those.
Okay.
That's more likely than not that those exist. So I'm going to have a finding that is either yes or no for those violations. And if those violations exist, then I'll look into sentencing and take the sentencing recommendation of the county and listen to any sentencing mitigation factors or anything that the respondent wishes to provide. It's a little bit unusual in this case that we have 2 respondents who don't appear to be aligned in interest. But because that is my only role, I'm going to be finding violations or no violations. In terms of the assessment against the respondents, I believe it's joint and several under the county code. So it would be equal liability for all respondents named, and ultimately a lien on the property if violations are found and civil penalties are assessed. Does anybody have questions about what I just said or the procedure? Ms. Angusto, I think you are on mute, but you're welcome to speak. I believe you're okay.
I'm sorry about that.
What if she had dump receipts or?
Well, I have everything, but why? If I have done what they're telling me I had to do and I did it, why is there this going on? I don't understand. Just because it's not done the very second that he wants it done after a year and a half of
We
struggling.
do have a few photographs of the property now. I don't know if you can see it.
Can you see those?
This is the driveway when you first get into the driveway.
I can't, you can email those and we can,
Yes, I
I
can.
can accept them as evidence.
Okay,
But I will say the violations I'm looking at concern the dates in the violation notice in terms of any corrective action that's been taken after that place or anything that the property.
like I said earlier, though, every time I got done so many tasks, he piled on some more. I mean, there was no ever getting done.
Well, and she didn't have a working vehicle, and he
Yeah.
never provided anything to be able to help her. We literally just got a vehicle that's working about a month ago. to be able to
I'm
do anything, to
wondering
remove
if
anything from the
there's
property.
any kind of, what is done for a widow who her husband has taken care of.
I mean, I don't know what to do.
Okay, well, thank you
I'll have to appeal.
for all of your testimony. I have received it and it is in the record now, everything that you
Okay.
provided and your three witnesses. So
Okay.
thank you for that.
Email address.
At this time, because there is diverged interest here, I would like to have the other respondents speak if you do wish to provide any testimony as well. You're welcome to do so at this time. And Julia Stowe.
Okay. Sure. Yes, I would like to. As far as, we called because their accumulated waste was accumulating rats, both for everybody in the neighborhood. Everybody. The neighbor down below had to get an exterminator because they won't take their trash out. They burn it once in a while when they feel like it and they feel like nobody's going to call on them. But literally, they still have a pile of trash over there, as you can see in Rob's picture. They don't take their stuff to the dump. They just burn it or it just piles. They don't pay any of their bills. As far as Pacific Power, they had shut off their power because they hadn't paid their power in over 2 years. And they had racked up over $5,000 in a power bill. I spoke with Heidi at the power company because I'm the personal representative. And then they came out and they seen that they'd been tampering with the meter and the power line. And so they pulled the meter and the line all the way from the road. They haven't paid a single bill on that property. It's in foreclosure right now. And I can't get over there to do anything to the property because they are you're unable to do anything with them if they are uncooperative. They won't listen to anybody. They scream at you. They call the cops. Inga called the cops on the cops last year because the cop was talking to me and not her. So that's as far as the communication goes there, like, and the cooperativeness. I have got a lawyer, and we're going to be getting them out of there here very soon, so that we can get the property brought up to code. As far as they still have 2 unoperative vehicles there. She talks about, oh, the truck my dad wants. Well, that's not the only unoperative one. It's still more than one, and they bring vehicles in and out constantly. There have been 2 stolen vehicles recovered from there, a motorcycle and a truck. As far as, like I said, the accumulated trash, I've spoke with the fire department about doing a controlled burn once they're out of there, like a learn to burn, so that they can get rid of those, because both of having 2 trailers on there is a code violation, and then having that center part built in between, which my dad was aware of. He did talk with the code guys back in 2010 when they came. Inga likes to say she doesn't know what's going on. She didn't know the property's in foreclosure. She said that every time it goes into foreclosure, she likes to play that she doesn't know what's going on, when she's the most controlling, uncooperative person on the planet. So I would love, I'm what is it? I will get with the attorney that I talked to on the 10th about the presumptive payment, because I would love to do that. Like I said, we're going to be getting them out of there, and getting the place back in code, especially since there's a chance that this can affect my place of business or my home that I own, that I pay the bills on. She hasn't paid the property tax. Like I said, there's 1 year there. It's already in foreclosure. It's been in foreclosure for a year, and they have 1 left before they can actually take it, thankfully. But she hasn't had water in almost 1.5 years because they didn't pay that bill either. And then they harassed Tom Alphonse about, oh, they're going to sue him. Tom Alphonse is the water district, or our water, we're a water district here. He is the person that is in charge of it here. So they haven't had water in 1.5 years. They haven't had power in months because they don't pay the bills. They don't have the, like I said, it's in foreclosure. I hurt my back as soon as I started probate a week after. So I haven't been able to do as much as I need to get this. And I mean, I can show all the records for that. I go to the doctor 3 times a week, between the doctor, physical therapy, and chiropractor. but I want to get this all taken care of. We want the flop house to end because that's all it has been. It has been a nonstop. They started about 11, 12 at night, and they are like in and out, in and out. People flying up here, they jack up cars, they cut the mufflers off. We have videos and pictures of it, and the burning and stuff. Like if they were doing things quietly and legally, we wouldn't give a crap. But the people that we have in and out of here, her daughter's that had a warrant for several years now and refuses to take care of it. And when the police, Selena Chavez, who read her documents, and when she comes up here, and this other girl, Vanessa, her boyfriend, got arrested because they were all screaming and fighting. And when the cops came, he had a warrant for his arrest for not registering as a sex offender or something. He's a convicted rapist. So it has been a nightmare living beside them, having them there. Since my dad passed, it has just turned into Clatsop County flop house. They get people living in both of the travel trailers. It's just awful. And so that's why we contacted code enforcement, because you can't live. Like my daughter has epilepsy. She can't be woke up by freaking fighting all night long. Cars in and out with no muffler all night long. So that's my testimony. I will take care of the presumptive, but I would ask for a little more time to get them out because it is hard to get people out right now. As you well know, as with the homeless crisis and all that, they too have travel trailers they can take and go somewhere. But we will be filing for an eviction through the courts and paying this. Like I said, the only thing I would ask for is more time, because it takes time to get people out. But yeah, I will have this taken care of within 30 days of them being out.
Okay, Ms. Doe, so if I understand you correctly, you're not challenging the violations exist. You are accepting the county's recommended fine of $1,500 and you're asking for how much time?
I would say like probably 90 days.
Okay, Mr. Ledgerwood, does the county have a response or anything to say about the proposed sentence?
We would be agreeable to 90 days. It's agreeable.
Okay, anything further from any of the parties?
Yeah, I mean, I can't deny it. The place is trashed. So the stuff's there. There's, I'm trying, but I have a lot of stuff on my own but I can do that in 90 days. Like I said, I got a lawyer, so I meet with him again on the 10th.
So, Angela has never actually
Let me-
introduced herself to me or my boyfriend. We didn't live there. We temporarily stayed there. And
That was right before Josh went away.
we were helping her with her property. And it just seems like the whole goal of hers is to kind of hurt Inga. So I have no
For
words.
one, their water bill, before the water bill was shut off, I offered that man $1,000 cash. And he refused me by laughing in my face. And not just that, he's till this day is still charging me $100 a month for nothing. Now the electric bill, I talked to them for 3 hours. I know who turned off the thing and what they said. They told me themselves, and Rob knows all about it. Because
Thank you, Ms. Stowe. In terms of the violations alleged by the county, are any of the facts concerning what the county has alleged? Do you have anything else to add?
what she said about my utility bills, I can't give you a foot. Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna have to appeal and talk to a lawyer because I don't know. I put so much money into my home. My husband's in my home. We both worked for a living. We both tried everything. When he died, that was 3/4 of an income. down the drain. It was just my income. I worked at a convenience store. See the difference? And I tried everything. Well, I had to use every dime of my money to get the cleared off the property, which I did. And excuse me, I couldn't pay the bills because they wouldn't let me. They were threatening me with $1,000 a day fines if I didn't get the job done. $1,000 a day. That makes it even 10 times worse. That's just like the water man charging me $100 a month for nothing.
He harassed you, he gave you mental
He
distress.
constantly was harassing me. He's showing up all the time, never giving me a chance to get anything completed or done because he was always there.
1 month after.
I don't have a car. I didn't have a car up until a month ago. This whole time, I couldn't just do everything by myself. It was impossible. I'm 64 years old, and boy, this 2 years really put those years on there. Because I've been doing everything the systems asked me to do, everything, including using every dime I have. Every dime of my savings is gone now too, because I used it all on trying to get this job done. And all she wants is to take it away so she can sell it and make herself some money. She doesn't give a darn about me or the relationship I have with her father, or her father for that matter. She was taking his stuff before he was even gone. And he even wanted her to stop. So he said, Inga said to stop because she was stealing it right out from under him. I'm sorry, but I've been trying my darndest to do exactly what Ron wanted me to do, Rob, and I've done it. I succeeded. That place looked immaculate. Her place looks like a dump, not mine. She has furniture and trash and wood all over the damn place. As soon as you drive into the cul-de-sac, that's the only thing you see first. So she wants to cut down my property, so be it.
Yeah, people that you,
My property looks beautiful compared to hers right now.
people that went and helped.
And he was supposed to take care of her too with her property, but no, he's not doing anything to make her zip-de-doo-dah through all her dirtiness over there. Only me. Put me, they were trying to kill me. Think about it. Taking all my vices of water, electricity, and finding ways to disconnect me just so I can't have it back, just so I can lose everything. Wait, come on.
Thank you, Ms. Doe, for your testimony. Did you have anything to speak to in terms of the proposed sentencing?
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit back and have her just do this. I don't know.
She's talking about the,
Why is there a sentencing if the progression was shown through receipts and
Yeah,
know,
I have
it's
receipts, I have
physical-
documents, I have people telling me
physically
about it.
there?
Yes, so there's not
You don't
necessarily a
think you should have-
sentencing, so my role.
I don't think I should have to pay
After-
anything if my job's done.
Mr.
Simple
My
as that.
role, my role here is to determine whether violations exist or not, and if they do exist, then to consider the appropriate sentence under the county code. So what the county has proposed and the other respondent has agreed to is that if violations are found, that the sentence would be the presumptive fine of $1,500 paid within 90 days from the date of the decision. So that's what I'm asking, if there's any comment or anything to speak to on that. It's a proposal, it's not a sentence. Okay, Ms. Doe, you are on mute. Ms. Doe, you're on mute. I'm not sure if you would like to speak to this in closing. Is there anything further from the parties?
I'd just like to ask Mr. Ledgerwood, in his opinion, were they cooperative?
The county would recognize that there's progress made over time, but the violations remain and they're not resolved.
When you would come to the property, would they be willing to speak with you and open the door and be cooperative?
Many times, yes.
Were there any times that they weren't?
There's sometimes I visited the property and was unable to make contact.
Were they ever verbally abusive towards you or
I mean, I'm not sure if this is pertinent to the listed code violations.
Yeah, at this time, I'm just taking any closing arguments or
I'm
any
just trying to
closing.
say, like, just trying to make my
Decision.
point that they wouldn't have been cooperative for me to come over and do anything either. Like I said, when I would try, they would call the cops, even though I have the paper. It's not worth arguing with them because her daughter is a convicted felon and does have warrants out, and they are for violence. So her convictions are for violence. And so I don't feel safe going on to the property and with the people, the company they keep. So that's why I need to get them out before I'm able to actually do anything.
Okay, your testimony has been received. Anything else from the parties before we close the hearing and close the record of the hearing? Okay, hearing nothing further, I'm going to close this hearing, issue a written decision, and all the rights of the parties will be listed in that notice. Thank you all for your time today.
Okay, does that just come in the mail or how does that get, how do we get the,
I issue a decision and email it to the county. I'm not sure if the county mails it to the respondents. Mr. Ledgerwood, would you speak to that?
I can send it mail. I can also hand deliver it. Either way is fine. However anybody would like to receive it, I'm willing to accommodate.
awesome, thank you.
Okay, this hearing is adjourned.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day.
Thank you.
God bless.